Pride before the fall. Admiral Zix Ofor stood on the command bridge of the Apocalypse Bringer, his 7 tentacles writhing with barely contained glee. Through the massive viewscreen, Earth grew larger by the moment, a blue-green marble spinning innocently in the void, completely unaware of the fate that awaited it. Behind him, First Officer Paddock cleared all 3 of his throat sacs, a sound that had heralded the fall of 47 civilizations before this one. Admiral, Paddock's voice carried the smug satisfaction of a being who had already mentally decorated his new office with conquered artifacts. Preliminary scans confirm our intelligence reports. The humans still use combustion engines, haven't achieved faster-than-light travel, and spend approximately 73% of their time watching something called cat videos. Zix's chromatophores flashed victory patterns across his epidermis, painting his skin in swirling designs of triumph. Primitives, he chuckled, just like the last 47 species we've conquered. This will be the easiest invasion yet. The massive fleet of 10,000 ships continued their approach, their stealth systems making them invisible to Earth's primitive radar technology. Each vessel was a masterpiece of Craan engineering, bristling with quantum torpedoes, plasma cannons, and enough firepower to reduce a continent to ash. The might of the Craan Empire had never known defeat, and Zix saw no reason why this backwater planet would be any different. Sir. Communications Officer BXB's antenna twitched with confusion. I'm picking up something strange from the planet's information networks. They appear to be having heated debates about whether a food item called a hot dog is technically a sandwich. Zix waved a dismissive tentacle. Irrelevant. A species still arguing about food classification clearly poses no threat to the might of the Craan Empire. Need I remind you of our glorious conquests? The crystal beings of Riel N9. The warrior clans of Betelgeuse. The notorious accountants of the Crab Nebula. No, sir, the bridge crew chorused, having heard this speech approximately 47 times before. But as the fleet prepared to launch their standard pre-invasion message, something unprecedented occurred. A notification appeared on their primary screen: your message has been received. Please wait 3 to 5 business days for processing. Your invasion request number is KRX 478922-8114. Zix blinked all 4 of his eyes. What is this nonsense? Since when do we need permission to invade? Sir, Paddock ventured, it appears to be some form of administrative procedure. Ignore it, Zix commanded. Send the standard pre-invasion message. You know the usual: resistance is futile, prepare for annihilation, your planet belongs to us now. And make sure to include all our titles and accolades. I want them to know exactly who's about to conquer them. But when they attempted to transmit the message, they received another notification: error, Form IC 789, intent to conquer, must be submitted in triplicate before any invasion-related communications can be processed. Please note that all forms must be filled out in black ink only. Black ink? Zix's tentacles writhed in confusion. We don't even use ink. We have quantum computers. Sir, BXP called out, her antenna now twitching frantically, I'm receiving more notifications. Apparently, we need to submit an environmental impact assessment for our planet-destroying weapons, register our fleet with the Department of Extraterrestrial Transportation, and obtain permits for parking 10,000 spacecraft in Earth's orbit. Zix laughed, but there was a slight nervous tremor in his tentacles. Surely this is some primitive attempt at defense. Ignore these requirements. Prepare the invasion fleet. But as they attempted to move into attack position, every screen on every ship suddenly displayed the same message: notice of violation, unauthorized fleet movement detected. Please submit Form MV 343, application for mass fleet mobilization, along with proof of insurance and valid pilot licenses for all ship commanders. Failure to comply may result in fines of up to 500,000 Earth credits per vessel per day. Insurance? Zix's chromatophores began displaying confusion patterns. What is insurance? According to their databases, Sir, Paddock reported, it's a system where we pay money we don't have to protect against things that probably won't happen, administered by an organization that hopes we won't ask for it back. That's brilliant, Zix whispered, a new emotion creeping into his voice, fear. As if sensing his moment of weakness, another message appeared, thank you for your interest in invading Earth. Please hold while we transfer you to our Department of Alien Conquest and Subjugation. Your call is important to us. Current wait time, 4 to 6 weeks. And then, to the horror of the entire bridge crew, music began playing through their communication systems. It was something called the best of easy listening, and it would prove to be just the beginning of their bureaucratic nightmare. In her office at the United Nations, General Dr. Ruby Chen smiled as she watched the alien fleet's confusion through Earth's monitoring systems. She adjusted her glasses and turned to her team of elite bureaucrats, each one a master of red tape and administrative complexity. Ladies and gentlemen, she announced, Operation Papercut is officially underway. Release the forms. And with that command, humanity unleashed its most terrifying weapon against the mighty Craan Empire, bureaucracy. Red tape rising. Deep within the United Nations Strategic Bureaucracy Command Center, General Dr. Ruby Chen watched as her master plan unfolded. Banks of monitors displayed the growing chaos aboard the alien fleet, each screen showing a different aspect of Operation Papercut's devastating effectiveness. Status report, she commanded, addressing a room filled with Earth's most formidable administrative warriors. These weren't ordinary bureaucrats, they were veterans of the DMV, seasoned tax auditors, and battle-hardened corporate compliance officers. Margaret Thompson, former head of the Department of Redundant Departments Department, stepped forward. Her reading glasses gleamed under the fluorescent lights as she consulted her tablet. Phase 1 is proceeding exactly as planned, General. The aliens have already received 47,892 different forms, each requiring notarization by a certified Earth notary. Excellent. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Deploy Phase 2. In orbit, aboard the Apocalypse Bringer, Admiral Zix Ofor was discovering that his mighty invasion fleet had met its match. His command center, once a marvel of alien technology, now resembled a particularly chaotic post office during tax season. Stacks of forms reached from floor to ceiling, and his crew members were drowning in paperwork. Sir, First Officer Paddock reported, his eye stalks drooping with exhaustion, we've just received notice that our invasion permit applications have been rejected. Again. Zix's tentacles had developed repetitive strain injury from signing documents. What is it this time? Apparently, we used paper clips instead of staples on forms TR 789 through TR 1043. Also, they claim our margins are off by 0.0001 inches, and we failed to include our zip code. What's a zip code? Zix demanded. Unknown, sir. But according to this notice, we need one to proceed. Also, we need to provide proof of address to get a zip code, but we need a zip code to establish proof of address. Before Zix could respond, every screen on the bridge lit up with a new message, attention, your attempt to invade Earth has been flagged for additional review. Please complete the following mandatory training modules. Understanding Earth's Cultural Sensitivity Guidelines, 47 hours. Workplace Safety in Zero-Gravity Environments, 82 hours. Sexual Harassment Prevention from Multidimensional Beings, 156 hours. Proper Recycling Procedures for Demolished Planets, 249 hours. Coffee Break Room Etiquette, 94 hours. Sir, Communications Officer BXP called out, her antenna curling in distress, the training videos are unskippable, and there's a quiz after each module. We need a score of 100% to proceed. Meanwhile, in a secret bunker beneath the Pentagon, Dr. Chen was meeting with her elite team of bureaucratic specialists. The room was filled with the world's most dangerous administrators, each one a master of their chosen field of red tape. Ladies and gentlemen, Chen addressed the group, we've successfully bogged down their invasion force with basic paperwork. Now it's time to unleash our secret weapon. She nodded to a stern-looking woman whose name badge identified her as Barbara, Senior Customer Service Representative, retired. Barbara cracked her knuckles and began typing. Seconds later, every ship in the alien fleet received the same message: "We're updating our privacy policy. Please review and accept the new terms and conditions to continue your invasion." The document was 47,000 pages long. In 6-point font. Single-spaced. Back on the Apocalypse Bringer, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. The ship's quantum computers, capable of calculating faster-than-light trajectories, were crashing while trying to process Earth's tax codes. The artificial intelligence system had developed a nervous tic after attempting to navigate the health insurance enrollment process. "Sir," Paddock reported grimly, "we've just received notice that our weapons systems don't comply with Earth's environmental regulations. They're demanding we conduct an environmental impact study for each planet-destroying laser. The paperwork alone would take 3 years. 3 years? Zix's chromatophores had faded to a stressed-out gray. "We can't wait that long. The Empire expects results." "That's not all, sir. The Department of Labor has classified our invasion forces as employees rather than independent contractors. We need to provide benefits, overtime pay, and something called a 401k matching program." Just then, another message flashed across their screens: "Urgent. Your spacecraft's extended warranty is about to expire. Please hold for a representative." In the Strategic Command Center, Dr. Chen watched with satisfaction as the alien fleet descended into administrative chaos. But she wasn't done yet. She turned to her team of special operators, former public utilities clerks and postal service veterans. "Initialize Protocol DMV," she commanded. Across the alien fleet, new notifications began appearing: "Your invasion license has expired. Please visit your local Department of Motor Vehicles to renew. Appointments are available between 9 a.m. and 4:30 p.m., Tuesday through Thursday, except during lunch hours, holidays, or when Mercury is in retrograde." The aliens' mighty battle computers tried to calculate the optimal time to visit the DMV. 3 of them exploded. Meanwhile, a special task force of Earth's most experienced bureaucrats had begun their counteroffensive. Leading the charge was Herbert Middleton, whose claim to fame was creating a form so complex it required 3 other forms to explain how to fill it out. "Sir," BXP reported, her voice trembling, "they're demanding we provide documentation proving we don't need the documentation they previously requested to prove we needed the original documentation." Zix's tentacles went limp. "What? Also, apparently our invasion authorization needs to be notarized by a certified Earth notary, but to get Earth notary certification, we need to prove we've successfully completed at least one Earth invasion." The Admiral's chromatophores began displaying the alien equivalent of a screensaver. His mighty empire, conqueror of 47 worlds, was being defeated not by advanced weapons or superior tactics, but by something far more terrifying: administrative requirements. And in her command center, Dr. Chen prepared to launch Phase 3, knowing that the aliens hadn't even begun to experience the true depths of human bureaucracy. She picked up her red pen, adjusted her glasses, and whispered, "Send them the tax audit notification." The battle for Earth would not be won with weapons, but with paperwork. And humanity had been preparing for this moment for centuries. The Compliance Crusade. The Strategic Bureaucracy Command Center hummed with the sound of printers, each one methodically producing fresh waves of forms, requirements, and regulatory notices. General Dr. Ruby Chen stood before a massive wall of monitors, each displaying different aspects of Operation Papercut's devastating effectiveness. "Deploy the compliance officers," she commanded. Across the alien fleet, portals began materializing through the sheer power of bureaucratic persistence. Through each one stepped a figure more terrifying than any weapon the Craan Empire had ever faced: government inspectors. "Excuse me," said one inspector, materializing on the bridge of the Apocalypse Bringer with a clipboard and an unnervingly pleasant smile. I'm from OSHA. I couldn't help but notice your death ray installation doesn't meet current building codes. Admiral Zix's tentacles curled in horror. But we're in space. Space, the inspector replied, adjusting his safety glasses, falls under our jurisdiction as a Form SP-471, subsection Q, paragraph 9, subparagraph 3, footnote 7. He flipped through his clipboard. Also, your bridge lacks proper emergency exit signage. In Braille. Before Zix could respond, another inspector appeared. EPA here. Your planet-destroying laser exceeds our emission standards. You'll need to submit an environmental impact study. In triplicate. By fax. What's a fax? Zix whispered to Paddock. According to Earth records, sir, it's some kind of ancient communication device that still persists in bureaucratic circles despite being obsolete for decades. Sir. Communications Officer BXP called out, her antenna twitching frantically. We're receiving citations for violated regulations we haven't even received yet. Indeed, the fleet was being bombarded with notices of non-compliance with regulations that, according to the timestamps, wouldn't be written for another 3 years. When Paddock tried to point out this temporal impossibility, they received a stern notice explaining that ignorance of future laws was no excuse for present non-compliance. Meanwhile, in her command center, Dr. Chen was preparing humanity's next defensive wave. She turned to a particularly fearsome group of specialists, the Terms and Conditions Division, led by a team of lawyers who specialized in software user agreements. Initialize Protocol EULA, she commanded. Across the alien fleet, every screen began displaying the most comprehensive, convoluted, and soul-crushing document ever created. Before proceeding with your invasion, please review and agree to our Terms of Service, Section 1 of 2847. The terms included such gems as: Earth reserves the right to modify invasion parameters at any time without notice. By invading, you agree to receive promotional emails about future conquest opportunities. Planetary destruction voids warranty. All disputes must be settled through interpretive dance arbitration. Reading these terms constitutes a binding agreement to provide your firstborn tentacle to Earth's bureaucratic entities. The alien fleet's computer systems began crashing under the weight of compliance requirements. Their advanced AI, capable of calculating faster-than-light trajectories, found itself utterly defeated by trying to process Earth's tax code. Back on the Apocalypse Bringer, Admiral Zix was facing a new crisis. The Department of Labor had classified their invasion forces as employees rather than independent contractors, triggering a cascade of regulatory requirements. Sir, Paddock reported, his eye stalks drooping with exhaustion, they're demanding we implement a comprehensive benefits package including dental coverage for all tentacles, mental health support for post-invasion stress disorder, 401k matching with vesting periods, paid time off between planetary conquests, flexible spending accounts for death ray maintenance, life insurance, void in case of planetary destruction. And we need to ensure all these benefits comply with regulations in every Earth jurisdiction. All 195 countries. And their subdivisions. Just then, a particularly cheerful inspector materialized. Hi there. I'm from the Department of Redundancy Department's Department of Redundant Inspections. I'm here to inspect your inspection readiness for upcoming inspections. Zix's chromatophores began displaying the alien equivalent of a blue screen of death. How many inspections? Oh, that depends on how many inspections are needed to inspect your inspection readiness, which will determine through a series of pre-inspection inspection readiness inspections. Meanwhile, Earth's bureaucratic warriors were just warming up. Dr. Chen turned to her secret weapon, retired DMV employees who had been training their whole lives for this moment. Deploy Operation Wait in Line, she commanded. Suddenly, every alien ship found itself in a virtual queue. To proceed with any action, from firing weapons to making coffee, they needed to take a number and wait. The estimated wait time was between 2 hours and 7 years, and they were currently serving number 4 out of 7 million. Sir, BXP reported, her voice cracking, they're now requiring us to provide proof of address to establish our identity, but we need to establish our identity to get proof of address. So how do we break this loop? Zix demanded. According to this form, we need to visit our local post office in person. During lunch hour. On a holiday. With 2 forms of government-issued ID. From a government that doesn't recognize our existence. The situation deteriorated further when the fleet received notice that their invasion certification had expired. To renew it, all personnel would need to complete mandatory training programs, including Understanding Earth Meme Culture, 47 hours. Proper Protocol for Coffee Break Room Etiquette, 82 hours. Sensitivity Training for Multidimensional Beings, 156 hours. Workplace Harassment Prevention in Zero Gravity, 249 hours. All videos were unskippable, required 100% attention monitoring, and featured copyright-free music that seemed designed to drive even the most hardened warrior insane. As Zix watched his mighty invasion force crumble under the weight of administrative requirements, he received one final notification: your invasion request has been processed. Unfortunately, due to high volume, we are currently experiencing delays. Please expect a response within 15 to 20 business years. If you would like to expedite this process, please submit Form EX-394, Request for Expedition of Request for Invasion, available only on alternate Thursdays between 2:17 p.m. and 2:18 p.m., Earth Standard Time. The breaking point. In the depths of the Strategic Bureaucracy Command Center, General Dr. Ruby Chen examined the latest reports with satisfaction. The alien fleet had been effectively paralyzed by waves of administrative requirements, but she knew better than to underestimate her opponent. It was time to deploy their most devastating weapon yet. Initialize Protocol Customer Service, she commanded. Her elite team of former call center managers exchanged knowing glances. They had trained their whole lives for this moment. Aboard the Apocalypse Bringer, Admiral Zix Ofor was struggling to maintain his composure. His once pristine command bridge now resembled a particularly chaotic tax preparation office during audit season. Stacks of forms threatened to topple onto his crew, and his tentacles had developed carpal tunnel syndrome from signing documents. Sir, First Officer Paddock reported, his eye stalks twitching with stress, we've just received a new notification. They're requiring us to update our software. Fine, Zix snapped. Update it. It's not that simple, sir. First, we need to read and agree to the new terms of service. How long could that take? The document is 47,000 pages long. In legal language. And it's only available in Comic Sans. Before Zix could respond, every screen on every ship in the fleet suddenly displayed the same message: critical update required. Your invasion software is out of date. Would you like to update now or be reminded again in 5 minutes? No matter which option they chose, the result was the same: an endless loop of update prompts, each requiring acceptance of new terms and conditions, each triggering another update, which required new terms and conditions. Meanwhile, Dr. Chen's team had launched their next assault. Ma'am, reported Margaret Thompson, head of the Department of Recursive Requirements, Operation Hold Music is ready. Chen nodded. Execute. Suddenly, the alien fleet's communication systems were flooded with the most mind-numbing sound in human history: corporate hold music, interspersed with messages assuring them that their conquest was important and representatives would be with them shortly. Sir! Communications Officer BXP cried out, her antenna curling in distress, I'm being transferred between departments. Again. The Department of Invasion Affairs transferred me to the Bureau of Planetary Conquest, who redirected me to the Office of Extraterrestrial Relations, who suggested I contact the Committee for Interstellar Regulations. And? Zix demanded. They're all on lunch break. Simultaneously. For the next week. The situation deteriorated further when the fleet received notice that their invasion insurance policy had been flagged for review. According to the notification, they needed to provide proof of previous invasion experience, minimum 5 years. References from at least 3 previously conquered planets. Credit score from a recognized galactic financial institution. Dental records for all crew members. Birth certificates, notarized, for all tentacles. Documentation proving they didn't need the documentation they were currently providing. Just then, a particularly cheerful hologram materialized on the bridge. Hi. I'm Clippy, Earth's automated invasion assistant. It looks like you're trying to conquer a planet. Would you like help with that? Before anyone could respond, Clippy continued, please select from the following options. For questions about invasion permits, press 1. For death ray certification, press 2. For complaints about wait times, please hold for approximately 7 years. To hear these options in Klingon, press 4. To start over and be given entirely different options, press 5". Each option led to a new menu with more options, each more confusing than the last, all accompanied by a cheerful voice assuring them that their choices had recently changed to better serve their invasion needs. Meanwhile, Dr. Chen had deployed her secret weapon, the IT Support Division. Across the alien fleet, systems began displaying error messages. 404, planet not found. Error, your invasion has encountered an unexpected problem and needs to close. Invalid command, please contact your system administrator. Note, all system administrators are currently in a meeting. The breaking point came when the fleet received notice that their invasion certification had expired. To renew it, they needed to complete 47 hours of sensitivity training. Pass a written exam on Earth's parking regulations. Provide proof of vaccination for diseases that didn't exist yet. Submit a 5,000-word essay on why I want to invade Earth, 12-point times New Roman, double-spaced MLA format. Choreograph and perform an interpretive dance expressing their invasion intentions. Fill out Form RN 789, application for renewal of form filing permission, which was only available on microfiche. Sir, Paddock reported grimly, our most advanced AI just tried to calculate the optimal time to visit the DMV and, it's developed an existential crisis. It's now questioning whether time itself is just a social construct created by bureaucrats. Zix stared at the mounting chaos around him. His mighty invasion fleet, terror of 47 solar systems, was being defeated not by advanced weapons or superior tactics, but by something far more terrifying, administrative requirements. And in her command center, Dr. Chen prepared to launch her final assault. She picked up a red pen, adjusted her glasses, and whispered, send them, the tax audit notification. Victory through bureaucracy. The final phase of Operation Papercut began at exactly 3:47 p.m. Earth Standard Time, when General Dr. Ruby Chen deployed humanity's ultimate administrative weapon. She stood in the Strategic Bureaucracy Command Center, surrounded by her elite team of bureaucratic warriors, and gave the command that would go down in history. Send them. Form 1042 Alien. Across the alien fleet, every screen suddenly displayed the same message, notice of tax audit. The Earth Revenue Service has determined that your invasion fleet constitutes a business presence on Earth, retroactive to your first appearance in the solar system. Please prepare the following documentation. What followed was a list so comprehensive, so Byzantine, that 3 of the fleet's quantum computers spontaneously achieved sentience just to file for mechanical bankruptcy. Admiral Zix Ofor, once proud commander of the mighty Craan Empire's invasion fleet, stared at the requirements with all 4 of his eyes. His tentacles, already cramped from endless form signing, began to tremble. They needed to provide receipts for all conquest-related expenses, in triplicate. Depreciation schedules for planet-destroying weapons. Proof of charitable contributions to local Earth organizations. Documentation for all business meals with conquered species. Mileage logs for faster-than-light travel. Income statements from all 47 previously conquered worlds. A complete inventory of all death rays, classified by both destructive capability and ergonomic design. Proof that their proof of proof was properly proven. Sir, First Officer Paddock reported, his eye stalks drooping with exhaustion. They're demanding we reconcile our fleet's energy consumption with intergalactic carbon credit regulations. We need to provide environmental impact statements for every photon torpedo we've ever fired. Including the ones we haven't fired yet. Before Zix could respond, another wave of notifications hit. Urgent, your invasion fleet's warranty is about to expire. Would you like to extend your coverage? Update required. Your Death Rays operating system needs critical security patches. Survey request, please rate your invasion experience on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. Newsletter sign up, subscribe now for weekly updates on new invasion regulations. Meanwhile, in her command center, Dr. Chen was preparing the final stroke. She turned to her most fearsome weapon, Martha Stevenson, former head of the Department of Redundant Paperwork Documentation Division's Oversight Committee's Steering Group's Task Force on Form Standardization. Martha adjusted her cat-eye glasses and began typing. Across the alien fleet, printers that hadn't even existed moments before materialized and began spewing forth an endless stream of forms. Each form referenced 3 other forms, which in turn required 5 more forms to explain how to fill out the original forms. Sir! Communications Officer BXP cried out, her antenna now permanently curled from stress. They're demanding we provide proof of insurance for our insurance application's insurance policy. That's not all, Paddock added grimly. The Department of Temporal Bureaucracy has cited us for failing to file our invasion permits in chronological order. According to this notice, we need to resubmit everything, but the resubmission deadlines are set for last Tuesday. The breaking point came when every ship in the fleet received simultaneous notifications. Your invasion session has timed out. Please log in again. Password must contain at least 1 uppercase letter, 1 lowercase letter, 1 number, 1 special character, 1 hieroglyph, and 1 emoji that accurately represents your feelings about bureaucracy. CAPTCHA verification required. Please identify which images contain Earth traffic lights. Admiral Zix stared at his once mighty invasion fleet, now reduced to a floating mass of administrative chaos. His command center was buried under mountains of paperwork, his crew was suffering from collective carpal tunnel syndrome, and his most advanced AI had just requested stress leave after trying to navigate Earth's healthcare system. In a final, desperate attempt to salvage the invasion, Zix tried to contact Earth's central authority. After being on hold for what felt like several eternities, listening to a Muzak version of "Never Gonna Give You Up," he finally reached a representative. Thank you for contacting Earth's Invasion Processing Center, the cheerful voice said. I see you're calling about invasion request number KRX 478922-8114. I apologize, but I'm showing that this request was filed using last year's forms. You'll need to restart the entire process using the updated forms, which will be available 6 months ago. But that's impossible. Zix sputtered. I understand your frustration, sir. Would you like to file a complaint? Our complaint department is currently closed for renovations, but you can fill out Form COM 789, request for permission to file a future complaint, which should be processed within 15 to 20 business years. At that moment, something inside Admiral Zix Ofor, conqueror of 47 worlds, terror of 3 galaxies, and now victim of Earth's bureaucratic might, finally snapped. Attention all ships, he announced, his voice trembling, prepare for immediate retreat. I repeat, retreat from the Sol system. As the mighty Craan fleet fled Earth's orbit, leaving behind clouds of incomplete paperwork and abandoned forms, General Dr. Chen stood in her command center, watching their departure with satisfaction. Should we pursue? One of her staff asked. Chen smiled and adjusted her glasses. No need. We've already sent them a feedback survey and scheduled them for a post-invasion performance review. In the years that followed, the story of how Earth defeated the mighty Craan Empire spread throughout the galaxy. Other potential invaders, hearing tales of the dreaded Form 1042 alien and the endless loop of customer service holds, gave Earth's solar system a wide berth. And in a corner office of the Craan Empire's headquarters, Admiral Zix Ofor sat surrounded by stacks of Earth paperwork he was still trying to complete, his chromatophores permanently stuck in a pattern that bureaucrats across the universe would recognize, the spinning wheel of death. When asked about the failed invasion of Earth, he would only shudder and mutter something about filing deadlines and proper stapling procedures. Earth had discovered its greatest defense, not weapons, not walls, but the most powerful force in the universe, bureaucracy.